Are you looking for a faster video? Well, today it's a live stream and I know you're probably looking for a really nice and tidy edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Good morning. All right, we've got video. How are you all? Happy Thursday. I just realized at the last second that I didn't have my correct thread on. Then I was like, do I want black or red or orange? So I'm gonna wait a second. But I'm sewing the Shenanigans Skort by 5 out of 4 patterns today. And I'm making a utility skort, so it's a little bit of an experiment. And I've made this once in the last month in knit, and I love it. So I'm going to keep the knit shorts part, and I'm going to make a stretch ripstop outer skirt and waistband with some pockets on it. And that'll be great for gardening and just being out in the yard. I'm not able to typically work out in my yard in a anything with my legs exposed. So this is definitely going to be light duty for me. There's a lot of poison oak where I live, prickly things, rattlesnakes, stuff like that. So, but it is going to be great for, you know, like when I need a pocket and working out in the yard. And I like having dedicated things like, you are okay to get this dirty. You're okay to sit in the dirt. You're okay to, you know, wipe your hands on this. So it's like giving yourself permission. And I don't really have a whole lot of outdoor clothes, but partly I outgrew them. Some of them just wore out. Yeah, anyway. So this is my little gardening capsule wardrobe, and I'm really happy. It's my third piece, right? So that's pretty cool. I'm going to be using the serger and the cover stitch today. I'm just going to tighten up my little clippies here. And possibly my single needle because I'm doing the stretch woven. So the skirt is a stretch woven, not a knit. So how are you all? Nice to see you all. Aisha, Delwyn, Michelle, Malin, Taya or Taya. I can't remember how to say that. Hannah, Kathleen, Sue, how's it going? To prevent the skirt from falling due to weight of pocket, can add a drawstring at the elastication. Yeah, we talked a little bit about things weighting the skirt down, and it's only 2 pockets, but it's a good idea. You know, like it's a good idea because it also gives someone more fit flexibility. I don't know if I want to stitch through my waistband to hold the drawstring. Let me think about that. And the reason I say that is because my stretch woven doesn't have a ton of stretch. So the only modification size-wise I have done is I added about 2 inches in circumference to the skirt and 1 inch in the circumference to the waistband. And I'm not going to be able to stretch it very much, so I feel like any kind of stitching that could confine it might cause another issue. You know, the other thing someone could do is to make this a wrap. Not technically a wrap, but what if it had a like not a slit, but if the front and the back kind of overlapped at the sides, and you could buckle it. It's another idea. Yeah, I like that idea though, because you could, yeah, do buttonholes or eyelets right there at the front of the waistband. Like I've done that on my Caroline pajamas, but the Caroline pajamas were in a really lightweight cotton, and there was a lot of fabric in that waistband, right? So you stretched the waistband to get it on, and it snapped back, and you stitched through it. The waistband and the elastic are very similar to my measurement, so there isn't much stretch to it. I'm already a little nervous to get it on and off. It's definitely going to be a shimmy, shimmy, Cocoa Pop type of situation to get it on and off. But you're right, Michelle, I don't want it to fall down. And I'm kind of like, I did rely on my new little tool belt to hold up my pants recently because that elastic is too short or too long. So, all right, so let me think about the order here. So I've got my pieces. Maybe I'm going to assemble the shorts first. I'm going to assemble the shorts first. And then what I can do, and I'm really sorry, they're going to be in black, so we're going to have to brighten that up over there. And then I can switch over to the orange and stay there. So because the shorts are going to go together pretty quickly. So let's look them over here. I don't have this light on because it can get really hot in here. So hopefully I can see it too, because all right, so this is the right side. This is the right side. So I'm going to fold them like this so that I can kind of keep track of what's what. If you're making this and you didn't watch the cutting video, I highly recommend you add a hem flare at the bottom right here to the knit skirt, and I show that how to do that in that video. Hey, Libby. So oh yeah, it is, Michelle. Exactly, Michelle. Yeah, because it's a skirt, not a skirt. So I have to take them on and off. And I pinned it to my dress form, so it should be fine. So it fits my hip. It's a little big for my waist, which is fine because the elastic's going to cinch that in. So yeah. Let me see this right side here. Is this one here? So it must go like this. And let's kind of double check that we have the same curves. So yeah, so if you do one little modification on this pattern, add this little hem flare. You see this little right there? You need that. You really need that. If you want your hem to feel good, especially because on something like this, a knit short, it can ride up if you have any kind of curvature in your thighs. You don't want this to cinch to the smallest part, which is way up at the top, right? Where it goes in at your crotch. So you want this to be relaxed around your leg, and this will help that as long as you've picked the short that is matching the circumference of your leg and not too much smaller than that. It's okay if it's a little bit tight, right? Because some fabrics are going to have really great return and be okay stretching. But if it's too tight, it's going to go whoop, right up to the smallest part it can find, or right up into your, bum. So, all right, so I have my crotch gusset. I don't know why. I cut 2 this time. I was like, man, maybe I'll add 2 this time. I don't have a strategy of why I did that. I just did it. But yeah, all right, so let's see. Yep, that's shorter, that's shorter. I think we're good. So I think the first thing we're going to do is, let's see, let me think about this. I'm thinking about thread. I have 3 machines and 2 different thread colors. I also set up the woolly nylon thread on my cover stitch and my serger, just to kind of plump up the stitches and make them softer against the skin in this. So that'll be cool. I feel like I want to do the center front seam, the gusset, and then the other one. That's I think how it goes. Wait, is this oh, does this gusset go like this or like this? I can't remember. I just made this and I can't remember. We gotta look at the directions real quick. Oh, let's look. Gussets can go 2 different ways. What is this called? Shenanigans. Okay, there's nothing in there. Oh, I put it in my, I've made this, which now I have broken up into different letters of the alphabet because I have so many patterns now. Okay. Let's see. Let's find that gusset. Why is that in green? Oh, and let me look at the elastic measurement while I'm here, because we're gonna need that too. It's kind of bugging out. Here we go. Where'd it go? Elastic. Why is there 2 different? What is this? Oh, interesting. What is, you know what? I think I just followed, wait a minute. I don't think that's right. I know I just used their cut measurement. Length, grain line, width, stretch. You know what? I mistook they have a waistband page, like additional cutting stuff, and I mistook that they provide the dimensions of the waistband so you don't have to use the pattern piece as their cut amount for the elastic. Here we go. I don't understand this wide thing. Okay. Oh, and it calls for 2-inch elastic. I'm using 1 1/4 inch. Yeah, I don't think that that's right. Okay, because I know I didn't cut that. So, okay, so sorry about that. Yeah, that is good, especially on the kind of elastic I'm using today. And the braided elastic, that's true. I hardly ever mention that, and because I use so much that's really narrow, and I don't worry about it because it's never for places like a body part. So that's a good point. I'm glad you said that. Okay, so this gusset goes from front to back. So you do the inseam first. All right, let's do that. Now yeah. Well, that would have helped, right, Michelle? If I had done that and then put it on, you know, it would have, oh, you're thinking it's the opposite. Yeah, maybe. That was way too much. I don't think so. That would be great, but I don't think so. Okay. So you're going to do your inseams first. So basically you're going to sew each leg. So we're going to go to the serger right now. Move this right here. And I have this right side out right now. I also have this little piece of elastic for the welt pocket later on, so I'm just going to pin this to here. Put this here, and I'm just looking under the light to make sure I have it right sides together. So you're going to do your leg. If you like to hem your stuff flat, you can do that now. I'm going to do mine in the round, and I will be doing it in just a second though. So I'm going to finish all of my black thread now. So we're going to sew our legs together, we're going to do the gusset, and then we're going to do the rise, which is going to be the part of the gusset, and then we're going to hem them. I'm having trouble. Sorry. I also can't see chat, so maybe I'll move my phone over here in a second. Okay, while that's under there, I'm going to look at the screen to see how well you can see that. So let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. Hey, Anna. I'm zooming in this a little bit. No, I can't zoom in anymore. If you're using narrow or elastic, maybe you still have room for the drawstring. Well, it means I have less room because my waistband's only this tall. But it does mean that can I do this and then like this? Can you see a little better there? No, you cannot see better there. Oh well. But it does mean I might be able to skip something like a stitching to hold the draw cord in, you know? It could be floating, but I don't really like that idea, like of it floating in there, you know? All right, I'm gonna start at the top again. I like approaching that little hook at the hem from the top, rather than starting from the hem and going up and trying to manage this little hook here. My foot is like, it's getting caught on something down there. Here we go. I would straighten it out like this. I was just kind of straightening it out like this. All right, and so now we're going to do the gusset. So I'm going to, let's see, which is the front and which is the back. We can tell by how long the rise is. So this right here is the back. And I think what I'll do is maybe pin it like that. I just don't like that. Do this, we'll pin this. That's the back. Push our inseam toward the back. And I'm gonna line it up at the little point there, like that, right here at that rise. Let me get a few clips. Hey Margaret, how's it going? I'm gonna put my phone up here. So I can see the chat. Sheesh, skip ads. No. Well, that's interesting. I have a skippable ads on my site and, oh, it would let me skip it, okay. All right. I don't think that there's a notch on this pattern for where you start the gusset. So sometimes when I'm doing things like this that are symmetrical and I'm centering over a seam, I'll use my single needle machine, my straight stitch, and I'll kind of tack it in the seam allowance, right? So I'll do that, and especially on this side, so I'll flip it over, and so from the seam down. And then that way I can make sure that I'm not going to pull it or misshape it and make it so that it's going to pull on my short real funny. Because remember, it's got to go onto the other side of the pant, the short. And you don't want to invariably cause some sort of torquing issue. All right. And you want the center of that gusset to land on the seam of the rise, or the inseam, sorry. Need to pull it a little bit. Kind of is getting bunched up there. I do have 2 layers of the gusset. I'm kind of experimenting with that because I'm gonna use this pattern, just the shorts of it, because it has a gusset, and as a pair of underwear shorts. So I figure a double gusset might be more comfortable. All right, so same thing. You clip it at the center, and we're looking at how everything's going there. And now we're going to do the whole rise. All right, we're going to start at the waist at the top. And now we're just going to pretend like we're sewing the rise together. Let's do it with the gusset on the top side. So you need to make sure that you catch both layers of your shorts right above the gusset, because what it wants to do, can you see this right here? How it's like a little bit of an angle. So there's my gusset. This is the gusset right here. And then this is the rise above it. And what it wants to do is kind of pull away, and you don't want to miss catching that in there. Double check that you actually have a right and a left leg, and you're not going to be sewing your front rise right now to the back. There is no shame if that happened. It is very easy to do. All right. I'm going to pull that over there. Let's get it up closer. Pull this over like this. And when you're not sure what to do with this seam, it's up to you. I'm going to push it toward the raw edge. So this little seam of your gusset, it wants to lay flat. And so you could put it in there flat, but I wouldn't do that because you're going to have a really thick seam here. So I'm going to open it up and kind of fold it over. I'm not folding it though. I'm just flattening it out, lining up that edge. It's going to feel like you're folding it over when you get right here to this juncture though. And so make sure you catch in that juncture. Make sure you're getting all the layers. All right, just keep adjusting here. I doubt you can see very much because of the black. This is why I should have done that other print. Remember I showed you? You would have been able to see a lot better. Get rid of this thread here, and now we're going to go up the last bit. I'm going to pull that little angle over to the edge there. Gussets are always really, really awkward. They're really awkward as a pattern drafter too. They used to be one of my least favorite things to draft. Okay, so here we have our gusset. You see this? Put it under this light here. There it is. All right, and now this just needs a hem. And then let's make sure we know which is the back. I'm pretty sure it's this one here. And we can do that by folding the short at the inseam there and seeing which one is the taller one, right? So this right here is our back. You don't want to be wondering this when we're putting on the elastic waistband. Okay, let's do the hem. Okay, let me test this out and see how the stitches are doing. That looks pretty good. I got that woolly nylon in there. This is this spool. I don't know if you can see that actually. This one right here. You can kind of see that the thread looks a little bit like wavy. It's not. It's just thicker. So when it went around the spool, it was flattened out. And I usually put a net over that, but I couldn't actually find my my net. I found one, and that was it. But if you ever find those little nets in your supplies, that's a really good use for them, to put them around thread like that. Keep it from bouncing off the spool, you know? All right, let's actually iron this real quick. I find it a little easier, especially on camera, to hem when it's pre-ironed. How are you guys? You guys are so quiet. I feel like you're pretty busy right now. It'll be more visually appealing when I get to the orange fabric too. Plus, we're going to be doing a zippered pocket. I'm just trimming my junctures here. This is the inseam of the short right here. And you want a smooth transition going all the way around the leg, especially when you're doing something like a cover stitch hem, because it's not going to trim it for me. So I got to make sure that it's already a pretty smooth transition. Otherwise it'll stick out. You're just saying that, Michelle. I'm just teasing. All right, let's see. That is my back. So I want my inseam to push that way, and we're going to fold it right at that crook of the hem shape that we made yesterday. Okay, I'm just folding it up like that. Uh-oh, Anna. It was, oh no. I have a feeling, because there's a really big live stream happening on YouTube right now, that could impact things. The governmental one. So there, you know, it's like pretty big viewership. I don't know though. That would be my assumption. Priorities to that, you know? Yeah, Taya, exactly. Some patterns, it's really hard to tell the front from the back anyway, you know, and unless you put a label back there, you know, and if they didn't do a very high back waist, then you're definitely gonna have trouble figuring out which is the front and which is the back, you know. If there's no pockets or something like that. Is it not live? Let me see. Let's see if it's going to reconnect. Just for, oh, okay. Well, now I see movement on the screen. Okay. I'm just making sure. Oh, okay, okay, cool. I think sometimes I'm so still too that I can't tell. And I can't look at my computer because it shows me what's happening here. It is. Okay, thanks guys. Thank you. Oh, that might be why, Taya. Yeah. It's very easy too when you're doing stuff like that to like miss like how much should I put here, you know, like this looks like a lot, you know. So yeah. I've done that too. That's how I felt when I was in Australia and New Zealand the whole time. It was such a mind warp to understand what time it was, because you're ahead the next day. Like it's a completely different date, and it can be a little bit, you know, confusing. You just can't think about it. But it, you know, I've watched enough sci-fi to you know, think all about the whole fact that time is not linear. And that is a perfect example of how, like, Australia is in the future, but their moment is happening at the same time as ours right now. It's just too much to think about. I left this so weird. When I just did that sample sewing, I'm gonna sample sew a little bit and get it set a little bit better. My threads at the end there. Yeah, it's Friday, exactly. Greetings from the future. I have yet to watch all those great videos that Anna posted in the guild about the serger stuff, like the thread tails and stuff. I'm really interested in seeing that. Who's extra here? Who's extra? You're extra, right? All right, I'm going to shorten this little tail here because I'm going to trim it when I come back around. All right, so now I have my short here, and I have it inside out so that the right side is facing up under my machine right here. And you can see here, so this is the back, the inside. Here's the folded back hem right here. I do this because I don't have a free arm on my machine. Some sergers and cover stitches do have them, I don't. And I start usually just behind the seam. Oh, and you know what? Let's figure out the width here first. This is my other trick. I'm going to line up my left needle to the folded back edge here. I'm not going to sew right now. Keep sliding off the footbed there. So I'm going to move this little piece of tape over like this. There we go. Yeah, that's true, Michelle. Oh gosh, Fiona. It's so funny what we get hung up on, you know, like as far as official stuff goes. It's like, geez, you know. All right, here we go. So now I've lined up my folded hem to this edge here, and that's all I'll worry about, and I'll know I'm going to catch that edge under there. Now I'm approaching the seam, and I'm going to lift up my presser foot to make it relax as it goes over that seam. Otherwise, it was pushing on that seam. It was like pushing it like this toward me. We don't want that. I specifically picked this machine and my serger because it said it would handle thicknesses. I wasn't concerned about thicknesses per se, but I wanted it to make sure it would handle transitions between thicknesses really well, and it does pretty good. So I'm only going to focus on the folded edge being next to the tape. And I didn't measure when I folded it and ironed it, so you know, I could have been a little bit inconsistent around the edge, and that's okay. I'm going to trim my starting threads off. Just trim them now. Otherwise they're going to get caught up in there and you're going to have double the time trimming them. Ooh, what just happened? What just happened? What just happened? Oh, this is really tight right here. Why is this really tight? Weird. Please don't do anything weird right now. Oh yeah, you unthreaded? Wait a minute, what's going on here? Something's up. We were doing so good. This looks so nice. But I think one of the threads underneath caught. And I'm so close to the end. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna pull it out. Sewing drama. Oh my goodness. What happened there? I didn't do anything. Oy. I feel like I may have lost my little under thread. It's there. Okay. Fine. Be that way. I can see my undertail. I think it might be long enough, but I'm not sure. Let's get the tweezers out. I haven't used this puff thread very much, so I am still getting the hang of it. Well, now you're probably not thinking about getting it. Yeah, I'm not trying to sell cover stitches either, Aisha. Just get what you want. I feel like there's so many good ones out there, you know, so I'm happy with mine. Yeah, if I could throw more money at machines, I would. I would get one that locked the stitch at the end. That would be my only thing I would say. I also struggle to get the needle high enough in order to thread it, because the front of the presser foot right here is pretty bumpy. So if I set my finger here to thread it, my thumb is kind of not low enough for it. See, this feels really tight too all of a sudden. Huh. Okay, that's okay. Maybe my little under thread got caught on something because it's that woolly nylon. It's a little bit like, it's a little, it flips around a lot. Let's see if I can get this, pull that bottom thread up. It did. Cool. All right, we're back on track. Get rid of some of these threads, man. Ooh, they're staticky. Hey, Donna. I'm going to blame it on you. Right, Terry? Exactly. Yeah, unfortunately, whatever caused that started to tunnel my stitches over here, too. It happened like right I don't know where it happened. Let's see if I can pull out the tunnel. I'm just clipping this little, this is, remember when I had to go off the edge there? So that's what that is right there. And man, I can barely see this. It's so hard to see. I can't wait to not be sewing black right now. Yeah, it's like it got caught right here. Sewing drama. It's going to be my second YouTube channel. My Evolve had air threading, and it was a combo. It did both, serging and... But I really, you know, with the cover stitch, Aisha, you're only there's only 3. 2 are on top, and 1 is underneath there. So I don't really feel like air threading is worth the money when you're talking about that. It is tricky to thread this, though. So if you get this one and you need help, there's one little spot. Someone else will say it's not tricky to thread. It's not once you know exactly where this one spot goes. And I didn't find the book or videos to be very helpful. So I'm just unthreading, or taking out a little bit of my sewing. Sorry. Yeah, the baby lock was really nice. I liked it. I've been trying to sell it though, and I've had no takers, which kind of surprised me because I know machines are so hard to find right now. I haven't tried very hard to sell it, and I think that what like Facebook Marketplace does is base your sales on, like, posting your sale marketing wise to people that are near you, and there's nobody near me. You know what I mean? When I was in a bigger town, it was really easy. Okay, there we go. I just wanted to take out that last couple inches because it got so funky there. So now I'm going to line it up with what I've sewn already. Kind of lock it in. Let's hope that this is all okay. There's this one little thread here. Just one. Yeah, don't get the I say don't get the combo. I found it. Oh, it did it again. Why is it doing that? Huh. All right. I may have to hem this later. I'm not sure what's going on. The steps I told you to hem it are accurate, but something, and it might be that because I'm using this woolly nylon, because that is the new unknown for me here. It may not be threaded perfectly underneath anymore, so I'm gonna have to check that out. Here it is right here. I see it in there. That looks okay. Maybe I'll just swap out that woolly nylon. I don't know. All right, we'll just move on. We'll just move on. It would be nice to get that last little bit sewn though, huh? Look at, I'm like just a few inches away. But I'm not going to force this right now. Let's get on to the good stuff. Let's get on to the fun stuff like the pocket. Okay. For the looper and regular for the upper. That's what I'm doing. What? What does an Evolve cost? Wow. Oh, the stream's buffering for me again. What I do with $1 million. $1 $1 million is sadly not that much money anymore. Okay, what I will do while I'm here is iron the pocket. So I'm gonna put this pocket on here in a pretty simple way. So we're gonna have a little zippered pocket here. I'm not gonna do anything fancy. There are really nice ways to put on a zippered pocket where you could have like a covered welt and all that. And the only reason I'm not doing that is because I would much rather empower people to try and add a zipper to their pocket if they're a little bit hesitant than showing you like some sort of polished tailoring technique. And if you want that kind of polished tailoring technique, join my guild, because I do have a pockets skill building session, and I do show that. But I'm going to show you how to do a very easy zippered pocket when it's not in a seam. So right now I'm just transferring the general whereabouts of this pocket to the other side. I'm going to center a little piece of interfacing, which I've cut 1 1/4 inches wide, because my opening is, the cut opening is a 1/2 inch. There's a chance I might lose the crayon marking. I'm just making sure that's the right side up. Yeah, the cover stitch needs a timeout. It will. Like I said, I'm still getting the hang of using woolly nylon. We used to use it at the factory, but those weren't machines I ever got to use. Okay, so I can still see my marking. I don't know if you could see that. There's my awl. Here we go. Here we go. Hi. The Triumph is $7 grand. I'm selling it for, I think I have it listed for $950, because I figure someone's going to negotiate. Is that a good price? What do you guys think? It's not new, you know, it's 15 years old probably. 15 years old? Around there. It might be a couple of years older than that. I'd have to look. I wonder where I'd find when I bought that. Okay. So here's my little zipper. There's my little shorts. Here's all my little pockets. All right. Bye, Aisha. Have a nice lunch. All right, let's draw on here our shape. And did I bring that pattern piece over? I thought I did. Let me just grab it. It's sitting right here, I think. Yeah. So I'm going to transfer my square. So we're going to center it. And now we're going to center it this way. Something like that. As long as you're on that interfacing, we're going to be good. I'm going to draw my square. And honestly, I don't know if I needed to do that. I think I just need it on this one. I'm doing this kind of backwards now. That's what I'll do. I'm measuring because the hole is off center. See that? All right, like that. Okay, now I'm going to line up my hole here. Like this. I'm doing this so hard, making this so hard on myself. This is what happens when you change gears a lot. Okay, line it up right there. Centered like that. Okay. And now I'm going to double check that my opening is centered on my interfacing. It's not bad. Move it a little tiny bit. There's definitely easier ways to do this. So this one needs to go down. All right. All right. I'm going to pin this, and we're just going to sew the box all the way around. I guess I didn't need black on my machine because that's why I stopped threading this before I started. I was like, ooh, I don't foresee a reason that I'm gonna need black on there. There's not enough thread on that. Let's just use this one. Do you ever want just a bobbin winder? I kind of just want a bobbin winder sometimes. I used to use my home machine as only a bobbin winder. When I hadn't done any buttonholes in a really long time, I realized, wow, I'm only using my machine as a bobbin winder. Can you help me out here? Thank you. All right. And I have a little scrap piece of fabric somewhere. This is it. I know I have kind of a short stitch length because I've been doing my dress form. I'm sewing a pant form for myself, and I put a pretty small stitch length there. This looks pretty good, actually. It just feels a little the thread, this is a quilting cotton thread, so it felt a little thick, and that's okay with me. All right, so when I sew things like this, like squares for welts, I always start on the long side. I don't start at the little corner there. And let's make this square a little more defined. Like that crayon was just a placement holder. So I'm going to use this gray chalk, which I'm not sure you can see that very good, but I'll show it to you. And we can zoom in a little bit. So I have my thread, my gray chalk there, and that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I wonder. I've seen them too, Heidi. I don't really need one. It's just pure like, Saremy, you need to set up a bobbin every time you're sewing, you know? Turn your corners at the corners. Make them crisp. Normally I would use a pocket lining fabric too. I decided to stick with this since I might be putting things that are a little bit, you know, tool-like in this pocket. All right, so then I back stitch right there where I started, and now I'm going to cut this open. And I'm going to get right in those corners there. I discovered some really great tricks when I was developing the welt pocket skill building session, and one of them I was pretty proud of figuring out because I just felt like you're always told to like exactly precisely sew in this one spot. Where's my scissors? And I don't really think you should. I think it should be like a one stitch away. Here they are. And I experimented and did a few things and figured it out that actually worked pretty good. All right, and I always flip it over to see, did I cut it as close as I think I did on this side? And that little trick wouldn't apply for this because I'm making just a hole, just an opening. All right, now we're gonna go to the iron and we're gonna press this. Now I was saying, Libby, you know, do you ever wish you had a bobbin winder? Because I do. She was humoring me. It winds unevenly. Ooh. Can you adjust the tension of it? I had my attention on my bobbin winder for my industrial machine was so bad. Why is this video so outdated? How do I refresh this? I'm refreshing my, there we go. Okay. All right, so now I'm just pressing the seam allowance. I'm really just pressing this little seam here toward the opening. Just starting to train it, what I want it to do. Each end, stuff like that. Oh, that's cool, Libby. Yeah, see, I think it could be kind of handy. All right, now we're going to shove this through the opening. We're just like basically facing this hole. That's all we're doing. This isn't really a welt pocket. We're just facing it. That's all. We're clean finishing the hole. That's it. You say welt pocket and people get really nervous, but there's no welts in this cheating way to put a zipper pocket on. I really need to add some water to my iron. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the thing with this pocket is that you wouldn't want this for all applications. And I say that because it would be scratchy because the zipper is going to be exposed to your hand. My pocket's probably not going to be perfect either. It's going to do this. It's going to be short at the bottom here. It's going to be more like that. That's okay. We'll just trim it off. All right. Yeah, totally. It does feel magical, exactly. All right, so now I'm going to place my zipper behind it. And so you need to adjust your opening for the size zipper you're doing. This is a pretty small coil. It's 3.0. I often sew with 4.5 coil. This opening would probably have to be 3/4 of an inch wide to look proportional to the coil. I've definitely forgotten to make the opening bigger and use that wider coil, and I can get it to work. I have to put a zipper foot on because you're just so close to the teeth, and but it looks a little, it just looks a little out of proportion. Oh, awesome, Sue. That's great. Okay, the other thing to think about when you're doing these is that you're going to lose some of the opening width because of the zipper stop itself. So if you are, why is the video so far behind? You guys are like so far behind me right now. Weird. So it's, if you have something very specific to fit into the pocket opening, remember that it's the distance between the head down there. Well, you know, like basically like that's your opening. That's it. So you have to remember that too. All All right, so we're gonna just center this on here. Let's put this closer to me. Oh, and then the other thing to think about is which way do you want your pocket to open and close? Meaning, do you want the head at this end or this end? And there is arguments for both. I'm gonna put mine like this. I'm trying to get that flat. All right, there we go. What I love about doing the coil that's by the yard is I can put this slider in the middle and the coil will be closed above and below it, and it makes the end so much easier to sew. All right, so let's put a few pins in here. And let's see, where's my stop? There's my stop. So I'm actually going to push my zipper. I think I'm gonna push it quite a bit past this. I don't want the stop to show. Let's brighten this up and zoom it in. How do I do that? Oh yeah, exactly. You could do that too. Tilt, nope. Pan, yes. Brightness, yes. Yeah, something's up with YouTube. I have a feeling, like I said, there is the big hearing that's being televised right now, and millions of people are watching it. They are definitely prioritizing their servers right now. Not that I understand how any of that works, but that's what I'm gonna guess. All right, so see right here where my stop, the metal stop is. So what I'm about to do is center the zipper in this hole. I'm gonna sew around it like a window frame, right? And because I'm gonna be top stitching around this and going through the coil of the zipper, so if you're doing a brass zipper, you either want the zipper to fit completely in the opening of your pocket, or you need to be really careful going by those brass bits. So I'm gonna put this zipper up here. Since it's so long, I'm wasting all that. I'm just going to put a lot of this past it. Let's just sew this together down here too. It'll make it nicer. All right, so meaning I'm just gonna put this little head up here like way out of the way. And then let's just find a couple of spots to secure it. So that we can keep it centered in the opening like that. And it's still not centered in the opening. There, that's better. Never pin this. I find it kind of fussy. If you don't want to pin it, I don't blame you. Just get it centered and start on one side, and then it'll all be fine. That's a good nerdy guess. Okay. I'm good at nerdy guesses. Yeah, Sue, right? Yeah, it's definitely, did not invent this. Noodlehead does this too. All right, so I'm gonna start on one long side here. I don't have a zipper foot. Let's see, I kind of want this a little closer, but it might be nice to have the zipper foot today. I don't want to put my zipper foot on. Wham. Can I do that without it? I need my zipper foot. This is the other reason I really like the wider coil and the bigger opening is that I don't have to use a zipper foot for my machine. Because my zipper foot, it's just not that great. It works great, don't get me wrong. It's just that you lose a lot of control when you have hardly anything touching the fabric. Nah, I don't need to do that. I don't need the stop at all. It's going to be sewn across the end. All right, so let's just make sure we have our, I'm getting rid of the pins. I just can't handle it. All right, I'm gonna hold my tail a little bit. And just maintain your opening here, which you can't see right now, sorry. I don't even know how I can show that to you. So maintain your opening, this right here, this little window that you've cut. Don't let this bow out and get wider. Keep it nice and straight. I'm pinching my tape of the zipper together a little bit above. Much more accurate to keep your zipper closed if you know, like when you can. And I'm going to also pull on my pocket down here underneath, make it nice and crisp right there. But make sure you also don't pull like this corner so that you end up having a little wonky end of your opening here. I just sewed right over the coil because it's sewable. And we're going to come back here. If you were doing a really nice top stitch thread, you could pull your threads to the back and hand tie them if you wanted. All right, and this is what it looks like on the back. Just like that. All right, we're gonna cut our zipper. I'm gonna cut it flush with my pocket because that's gonna work out. And if I do that, I may change my mind, but if I do that, then that way the edge of my zipper is in the seam allowance because this is the scratchy bit that can happen. All right, and then now all you're gonna do is we're going to straighten out our pocket underneath. See how it wants to lay flat here. I'm going to pull this a little bit so this one is the one closest to the body, so we're going to pull that a little bit. We're going to pull this, the top one. Make sure it's all hanging nice and relaxed, just like that. And now I'm going to trim this excess. Remember I told you I would probably have a little excess because of the zipper tape is pushing the top of the pocket above the pocket opening. In other words, this right here is preventing it from hanging from the seam of the window, right? All right, and so now I'm gonna try and clean finish these like this. So I'm gonna pull my skirt out of the way and I'm gonna put this right sides together. Oh, let's switch out the presser foot again. I really need that quick release screw, but I'm so nervous when I look at them, I just don't know which one I need. That's what I was hoping for, Fiona, if I include it in the seam allowance, you know. Yeah, I mean, pretty sure we can kind of, maybe, I'm kind of drawing a blank right now. Wait, let me think about this. I'm just thinking about something that I was thinking about doing. So when I usually do this, I just overlock the 3 edges or I leave them hanging flat. And That might be less bulky if I do that. What do I want? Could I clean finish that? Hey Martina, how's it going? What if I did clean finish this? Like this, right? What if I clean finish this? That's what I was thinking, Terry. I guess that's why I haven't done it, because what if I don't get the right diameter, you know? All right, game on. Okay. Oh, well, I don't know. Oh, you're asking me? It looks like it. Is there not? Am I being paranoid for no reason? Now I'm thinking like, okay, if I do this like this, and then turn it the other way. No. We're going to do it this way. I want to enclose that raw zipper edge in a French seam. That's my plan. Just put it like this. I'm going to start from the bottom and go up so I make sure that I'm getting it the right length. I'm going to do a very narrow seam allowance. The zipper being in a French seam is probably not the best idea, but we're going to try it out. This reminds me of that fad of the bags that would fold into a pocket. Oh yeah, I mean, why not, Michelle? Why not? It slips through the hole in the foot bar. The screw part assembles the attachment. Okay. So do you mean, Terry, like it's something you also attach to your foot too? All right, so let's just trim these corners a little bit. I don't want to, I'm not going to be aggressive and trim this. I'm just trimming it a little bit. All right, so now let's turn this right side out. I don't want to stress my ends of my openings. I'm going to hold on to them. This fabric's pretty sturdy, so it's also why I'm like, let's hoik on it a little bit. Okay, so now we have our pocket. You could leave it at this, right? But I'm going to enclose it so it's nice and flat too. Packable skort, exactly. For all your travel gardening needs. I mean, have you seen, there's like, you know, whole catalogs of clothing devoted to traveling. I'm sure you all know that. But then there's like the packable thing too. Just turning out all my corners here. All right. And now I'm going to enclose that seam like a French seam. And enclose my raw zipper edges. No one's going to see the inside of my French seam. Oh my gosh, it's just so hard to read, Chad, sometimes and talk. So no one's going to see if like maybe my raw edge is poking out my seam. It could be in a couple places. I'm not really worried about it. This is the inside of my pocket. We're just trying to make it nice and smooth and comfortable against the body, against the wearer, which is me. All right, this end is this end that it's really bending back the zipper coil, so just be careful. There's a very likely chance that in a year that there will be a little hole right here where that zipper coil is, but I will say that's not the cut edge. The cut edge of the zipper coil is at this end, bent back on it. And so then on the right side, we have our little zipper pocket. Ta-da. All right. Yeah. So, okay, Terry, I'll look at theirs. I didn't look at it on Gold Star. Does this only work because it has a pocket? No, you could do it on a welt. As long as you have an opening. As long as you have an opening. It should work. You may find it a little harder to manage if the welt pieces are, say, in a stiffer fabric, you know, because you have that seam allowance of the welt around the perimeter edge. If it's a double welt, it's going to be on all 4 sides, and if it's a single welt, it's going to be on 3 sides. So you have that to negotiate with too. But what you could do to make it a little easier is make the sides of your pockets wider. It's a little wonky right here. That way you have more room to get by the seam allowance, because I think the seam allowance, it just might push your seam around and your presser foot around, you know, kind of bully it around. So Libby, the Adventure Skort, what's the difference between that and the Shenanigans? Someone said something yesterday what they thought it was. I don't remember what it was. All right, so now we have the skirt. We're going to put that together. And, you know, part of me just wants to French seam this because then I won't have to change my thread. So let's do that. Let's just French seam this, and then we can keep moving on. Oh, I'm going to have to change it for the waist seam, though. What do you think, serger or French seam? Huh. I'm going to do one seam first. What do you think, serger or French seam of my skirt? It's only going to be the side seams, because I'm going to use the serger on the waist seam when I put the waistband on. But I need to know now because I'm going to put the utility pocket kind of straddling the seam. Here, I'll work on that while you guys tell me what to do. All right. Yeah, I really like when pocket seams are nice and clean inside. You know, it doesn't always happen. It's not necessary. You know, you don't have to go that extra mile. I was just thinking like, okay, the zipper coil can be really pokey. It can be really pokey. It can really ruin your day if it's just rubbing on you the whole day, you know. I have a pair of boots, and there is one little coil that just kind of wings out on the zipper. It drives me crazy. All right, so this was like this. You guys said the angle goes like this, right? If this is the front of my skirt, it's so zoomed in. The angle goes like this, right on the side seam. French. That's my team. Why did I think you guys would answer anything else? I just love the comments I get on the French seaming in armhole, like a sleeve, or the inseam pocket. Almost every day I get comments on those two videos and the serging elastic to a waistband. And like one today was like, you know, I French seamed my whole project, but I wasn't going to do the armholes. Then I watched this video and I was like, maybe I'll do the armholes too. And I'm like, yeah. Gets extra points in the sewing bee. No, it doesn't, Michelle. God, Michelle's always coming in clutch with these comments. I did add 2 inches in circumference though, so maybe I'll do a really narrow French seam. If it doesn't fit, I can blame it on chat for making me do French seams. I'm going to do an 1/8 inch seam here. Let's go with the iron. I want to be on the sewing bee. No, I don't think I want to be on the sewing bee. I don't know. I've never even gotten to see it. What's the point of the sewing bee as far as like, what do they win? What is it? Is it like prestige? Is it for the fun? I mean, then it sounds like really like I would do it, even though I would never get to since I'm American. Yeah, I think it will. I have a pretty short stitch length too, you know, so I think it'll work. All right. There's too much stuff on my table. Not my table, but my machine here. Just one thing will upset the balance of everything, you know? The honor of it. That's amazing. So it's not like you get, you have to do your own line of clothing. How does one watch? Oh, it's, all right. Well, before my chat gets taken over with all the ways you can do it, just know, Michelle, that there's no legit way to watch it in the United States. No matter what anyone here says, there's no legit way to watch it. I don't even think you can pay a service for it. Adoration. I don't really want adoration. Yeah, the French seam on ripstop's good. All right, so now we have our little utility pocket. And I wanted it about that far up from the bottom, like that. I have a little bit of thread showing right here in this French seam. Yeah, exactly. And Canadians have a semi-legit way, pretty sure. I looked into it pretty deeply last year, and then I didn't this year. I wasted so much time trying to figure it out, Michelle, that I was just like, okay, I'm not interested in doing it with you know, the other methods. Only because I just don't know. I don't understand it very much, you know. I don't have a problem with people doing that, honestly. but I don't really understand it, know how to do it, and I also don't want to risk any kind of things with my channel. Just going to trim all this a little bit, this little pocket here. Oh, really, Martina? Oh. Yeah, I wonder why that is. I feel like, I hope it's not for the reason that they would start an American version. The seam here, you know what? What am I doing? I'm going to top stitch the seam. I'm fighting with it. I need to top stitch it. I'm just going to push it toward the back, like that. It'll give it more of the utility flair. What, Margie? What's that, Margie? $19.30 sailor pants, double bib, closures, 4.5 hours. Ooh. Yeah, exactly. I'd like to be the person that cheers them on, you know, walks around and says, okay, this is what you're going to do. That was yesterday's challenges. All of that. Yeah, that's exhausting. You know? All right, so when you have these angled pockets, they're kind of a pain. Like, you have to, you know, wrangle this little flare here. So let's point it down. I'm going to fold it down. Let's trim my little threads here a little bit better, since I just pulled one out. There we go. So I'm going to fold this back and fold this point down like this. Hopefully I can get that to stay just like that. Wow. Those don't sound like things I would like to sew. I take it back. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to fold this along a straight line right here. All right. Now, I'm going to tuck this corner in, and I'm going to have to tuck it a little aggressively, like that, like that. And now I am, let's see, now I'm going to pin it. Okay. So sailor pants, 2 old shirts in a 30s, 30 ties, changing 2 old shirts in a 30s tie blouse, 1.5 hour red carpet gown on the bias. None of that stuff goes together. Bias dress in 5.5 hours. Well, you only need 2 pieces for that, and then maybe a facing. So that would probably be the easiest if you wanted to be kind of underwhelming. But they probably had amazing, you know, like ideas for that. Why is this so fiddly? This was harder on my husband's overalls, wasn't it? I'm going to do a double row stitch. Okay. Stay, stay, stay. All right, now we're set. Once my machine's holding it, I feel like everything's gonna be fine. There's like a little thread poking out. When you do double layers of pockets like this, they can kind of act a little funny. They don't really want to wrap around and fold back and lay flat. And you're going to probably have one kind of extend past the pocket right there a little bit. I didn't, do any measures to really secure it and not do that, so. It makes sense that it's called the sewing bee then, right? Because it's not a fashion show. It is a testing your sewing knowledge. Oh, I bet the sailor pants were fantastic. They're kind of an obscure, but iconic garment too. My secret's the awl, Michelle. I sometimes will try and pin more when I'm doing a how-to video, and it actually goes horribly wrong. And I have to do it again because for me now, when it's pinned, it kind of hems me in a little too much. It's not always the case, but sometimes, All right, so there's my little utility pocket. The lighting looks funkorama, doesn't it? All right, so let's do this French seam here on this side. We're getting to the good stuff. We're going to do this side seam. I can also do this hem. And then we're going to put the short and the skirt together and do the waistband. The only reason most people watch this video. I didn't trim the other seam. Why didn't I do that? All right, let's press this really quick. I hope we get to watch it someday, that it's not so feeling like we're out of date with it, I want to see it. I felt like Project Runway was such a positive thing for what I did in the world. It made what I did more justifiable because, I did something so obscure, the pattern drafting. I did design too, but mostly designers just don't want to do pattern drafting. And so there's fewer pattern drafters. I would also argue that is partly why so much stuff's been exported, is because some people just don't want to do that kind of work, which is really unfortunate. And, trying to explain always what I did, to people. Oh, so, it's like when you tell people you sew, oh, you make quilts. I don't know where you got that from, but no, that's a whole nother skill set, And, with Project Runway, I could say, well, when they're draping and making the pattern, that's what I do for the most part. The designing part, that's such a small part of the process. It's just only part of the process. And in real life design rooms, it's the sales and marketing team who designed the line, sadly, and the owner. So, hey Vestigia, welcome in. I like the little rainbow every time. Oh, interesting. Okay. Where's my, here it is. So I think the only drawback about that was that then people were like, are you going to go on Project Runway? I'm like, no, I don't want what you win on that, you know? And I'm just so not about drama, like for entertainment purposes or whatever. So, yeah. Kathleen, really? That's when you just want to get up and walk away, you know? Oh, I have a thread caught in my seam here, a black thread from the serger, and it's really caught in there. There we go. Okay, so let me unzoom this a little bit. Here we go. So we have this little pocket here on the side, and then we have the little zip pocket there as well. Apply, close. And now we're going to attach the waistband. Sorry, it keeps bouncing back when I put it where I want it. Boy, can you just like, okay. All right, so here's my waistband. Here's my little black shorts. And they're going to line up to the top on the inside. And we're going to get the elastic out here. Now I really, really wish I would have written down my elastic amount. Oh, you know, I forgot to tell you guys that I am wearing my my Peaks and Valley pants out of the same fabric today. I learned sewing in the school system, but yeah, you're right. They started eliminating that shortly after. Here, look, I'm stretching it, Michelle. So these sit a little bit higher than these pants do. This would be relaxed right here. And I'm going to measure this. I'm kind of curious. Okay. Oh, I cut the wrong end off. I tried to get out of sewing in school too. I hated it, but I ended up loving it, so once I relaxed. Yeah, that is true, Anna. They have brought it back to that. All right, so I feel like this is bigger than my waistband right now, so that's why I wanted to look at it. It's not, but we're going to make it a little smaller. I'm going to look at that pattern again. Because whatever I used off the pattern worked for mine, even though I didn't realize there's two charts here. I don't know how I didn't notice this. Okay, videos. So I did I really don't understand why it says wide as the cut amount. It doesn't say length. It says cut it like your elastic, 29 inches wide. That's so confusing. Hi, Louise, nice to see you. Greetings to you too. All right, I'm just gonna go for it. No, I'm actually gonna cut off an inch. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cut off an inch because I'm gonna just stretch it. All right. All right, so I'm gonna overlap it. I always double stitch, do 2 rows of stitching like that. And what is this? Okay. I'm getting my windows back so I can see you guys better. Now I'm gonna sew my waistband into a circle, so put the short ends together and sew at the seam allowance. Sometimes I'll stitch this kind of seam to make it nice and flat on the inside. Totally optional. Kind of looks cool too. All right, so I have my center marked here with the chalk because I'm trying to break myself of the habit of nipping into things like this when there's like not much room, you know? All right, so because of this thickness here, I'm gonna offset it to the center back seam like this. All right, and then instead of pinning, I'm gonna just tack this on my machine like that. All right, and now we're gonna do it. Let's mark the elastic center point here. And now we're gonna do it on this other side here. I cut down my waistband width to reflect the width of my elastic. So if your elastic is the 2-inch wide elastic, you're probably fine. But mine is much narrower. I just want to make sure I didn't twist it because I think I just did. Oh, I did just twist it. Yeah, I thought I did. That's why you don't backstitch these little tacks either. I'm not going to use pins or clips or anything like that because we're going to do this on the serger and you're going to want this pre-sewn. It'll be a lot easier. And I don't think this is how it's sewn in the directions. I think the elastic is loose inside the casing. Now this is really great if you are sewing this for someone else and you're not quite sure but you're pretty sure. I'm not going to do a drawstring because I think I explained that because my fabric doesn't stretch very much. So I can't stitch through the casing with so little stretch. I think it's a good idea. Like I've done that before on my pajamas because there was it was like a lighter weight fabric and it was a lot, right? And so you stretched it and it pulled back. But this isn't going to stretch much. That's it. So if I put a drawstring in there, it'd have to be, and it has to stitch down. I can't stretch this out to put the stitching in there so that I don't hinder the stretch of the waistband. All right, so now I'm going to find the side here, and I'm just going to do it in this very scientific way like this. In fact, we can even go like this. We'll take this and I think it's good to put like at least 4 tacks, right? They don't have to be perfectly in the middle. We're not going to line this up over here with the side seam or anything like that. We're just tacking it in 4 places. All right, so we're going to tack this. And then we're going to do one more. We might need another one or 2. See how this inner waistband is kind of flopping down? That's kind of interesting. That makes me feel like it's not evenly distributed along one edge. We don't want any torquing though. All right, so let's look at that. So see how that splays like that? Like that could be a little bit hard to wrangle. So if you want, you know, put another tack in there. Tuck it in there. You think this is fussy now. It'll be way worse if you don't do this. So it's my warning. Just remember, we're going to be sewing this to the skort and the skirt at the same exact time. This feels so big. I'm going to put my shorts on right now over my pants. Do I really want to do that? I can't. My pants are too full. Shoot. I want to know, like, where is this going to hit me? Hi, Elena. How's it going? Don't mind me. I'm just trying on an elastic waistband right now. Okay, I can get it over my hips. Oh, that feels pretty good. Okay, we're good. All right, so now we're going to drop the shorts into the skirt. We're going to line up that back rise. So the reason I don't stitch all the way around the elastic is because I do still need it to be able to stretch, you know? Oh, let's actually sew this too. We're going to tack this with the machine. We don't want any pins. And you only have a 3/8 inch seam allowance, so try and stay in there. Like that one, I got a little bit wider. Nice. I'm to like that, like I have 2 steps left. I just got to attach this casing here and do the hem of the skirt. I had a little hiccup on my hems for the shorts. My cover stitch machine started to act kind of funny. I think it's because I'm experimenting with some thread. So, all right, so let's hold that there. I'm just thinking about yeah, that's fine. That works. Tacking at each side seam, center seam right now. This won't be hard at all. Remember, I made my skirt bigger and it's still, this is like no problem. Plenty of stretch. All right, and so if you feel like this is going to be hard to manage where, if you, I don't know if you can see this, but here's my 2 edges here of my short. You can do another tack in between. All this tacking might seem like a little bit of extra work, but here's the deal. If you do all this, your next step is 1 step and you're done. And so I feel like it's worth it if you're nervous, and I probably wouldn't do all of this if it wasn't on camera, but sometimes I do because I just don't feel like struggling or making it fussy. So, you know, depends on the mood. So setting yourself up is always a good idea. And I like doing machine tacks over pins or clips. All right. And so now I'm going to go around and just trim all these little threads here because they will sneak out of my seam and hang down and show. Oh, my label. Just remembered. All right. Get the label. I'm going to look at the shorts and see, like, do I think that that is indeed the front? Put the label in here. Do I want... I might want the label... Because see, what's going to happen is when this waist seam is sewn, it's going to do this. It's going to fold down because the waistband's going to be straight up. And so I actually probably want this more down here like that. Or I can tack it to the seam when it's pushed down like this. That's what I'll do. It'll be nice to know the back really easily if I, you know, am walking and putting on my clothes. Who does that? All right. See, this is what I was talking about, the net over the woolly nylon thread. I don't put it over my regular spools. It also is an indication that that's what that is, but it's very obvious if you have it. Let's thread this real quick now that we're onto the orange. I do, Martina. I mean, no, I wouldn't say always. I forgot recently. I don't find that it's necessary. I have plenty of handmaids that don't have a label. That's not where my ego is at. I like it because it looks more polished and I know the back at a glance. That's what I like about labels. I didn't even put much thought into mine. I just... I was curious. I'm like, I wonder how many colors this website can do. Like, you can just upload an image, and I didn't have very many images that were like sewing related, and I had that. I had just had that one like made, and I was like, huh, I wonder if it would take this, and it did, and I was like, that's kind of funny. So I kept it. So I got the Advent calendar by Kylie and the Machine for Christmas as a Christmas gift from my mom, and that's been really fun too. I wouldn't have bought that by myself though, I'll be honest. I think it's affordable. I thought it was a very affordable way to get a lot of labels though, and I like them all. You know what? You guys are reminding me, maybe I should put one of the patches that I got in there on this skort. That'd be kind of fun. My Blanca flight suit has the weirdo cat patch on it. Oh yeah, sometimes they can be scratchy, and I will tuck them behind the seam, like I'm going to do on this one because of logistics. I'll show you what I mean. I don't put it in the seam like as a part of the seam. I tack it behind it. All right, so now we have our waistband here, which is looking all kinds of crazy. We have our skort, and if you're doing knit, this would be the same steps. And let's see, this is the back here. So we're going to turn this inside out, which is going to be really weird because of the shorts. This is another reason why all these tacks are going to be really helpful. See? And now we have our waistband here. Now we could tack the waistband, pre-tack it to the skort as well. Right, that's the front and this is the back. If you're very sensitive to things like that, then I can completely see why. Because a lot of people are. There are a lot of people who can't tolerate tags. It's very common. It's even a condition in some kids. I've known a couple of kids like that, so it's very common. They both grew out of it, but some folks don't. And some tags are really scratchy, even if you're not sensitive. All right, I should have sewn a little bit first because I just threaded my machine. That was silly. I'm trying to get my tail of thread back there so I can grab it. Whew. Okay. All right. I should have determined my side seam, huh? Where's my center front? Right here. So this goes right here. Oh, that's perfect, Michelle. All right, I'm gonna move my iron. I'm gonna move all this a little over so you can see a little better. So here's this side. And like, it's not gonna have to stretch much. But when you're stretching, I always say this, if you have to stretch this, you need to keep it stretched, then sew, hold it stretched so that the machine isn't, like you just need it to be static, which means that it's not moving while it's moving through the machine. So right now I have this stretched, I'm gonna hold it, and I'm gonna start sewing. Make sure all of these edges, you have 2 for the waistband. For me, I'm doing the elastic in the edge, right? And if you're doing my method, you are too. So there's 5 layers here, 2 for the waistband, 1 for the elastic, 1 for the short, 1 for the skirt. Missing 1 will be a huge bummer. Huge, huge bummer. No coming back from that, except that you have to remove it and do a little bit of sewing again, so. But it's sewing it very easily. I'm just moving my threads. I readjust, it's all like slack again. And then I'm gonna pull, hold all these edges lined up. And I like to pull from the back too, to help me keep it stable so that I don't accidentally pull it and stretch it while I'm sewing, which could, you know, bend the needle and break something. And make sure underneath is nice and flat. Let's see here, find a good spot here. Just kind of trying to distribute it. All right, well, we're at the front now, so let's just get to the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if your waistband, see on my waistband right here is pinching, you don't want that to torque. So make sure, like, when you pull from the front and the back, it'll prevent that a lot better than any other thing you can do. And that's just because your presser foot's pushing it toward you. All right, so now we're at the front. It's looking really good. Look at that. That's a really wide stitch. It's funny. I was trying to make the stitch wider on the knits and it just wouldn't do it. I guess it's doing it on the woven for sure. Getting all these little tack threads towards the seam allowance so that they don't, you know, I don't want them coming out the seam here and showing. So that's what I'm doing right now. And sometimes I just get rid of it. It's just better. Remember, your waistband is done after the seam, so just take your time. All right, so I'm going to stretch this, find the halfway point, hold it there. In an industrial sewing setting, they only will hold things about 10 to 12 inches max. So they're not going to hold something really long. They'll only hold like a 10 to 12 inch section. And factories will have rules about how far apart notches can be. They'll say, okay, your notches can be no more than this far apart if it's a long length, and they'll tell the pattern drafter that. All right, so we're back at the beginning. I'm gonna pull these threads to the seam allowance there, and they're a little funky because that's when I started sewing. And then I'm gonna try not to trim my threads. I'm gonna sew for like an inch, and then I'm gonna go straight off like that. There we go. And then you have this nice, clean, elastic waistband. All right, let's see how we did here. Still feels nice and stretchy. You might as well test it now. I know you're nervous, but you better test it now before you can't put on your garment. I did nick a few threads right here. It's kind of a bummer. All right, so I'm gonna take this tail and I'm gonna pull it to the inside here and just stitch it down. I like to snug it up. It does disrupt the stitching of my serger stitching visually to have that little stitch there sometimes, you know, like right there. That looks better than the tail kind of looping around there. So I'm just looking over the whole edge and looking like, okay, what is this little thread? That's just the ripstop thread, so just trim it. Make your edge look nice, you know. Like you did a good job. Don't let something like that make it look like you didn't. All right. That's a little piece of the rubber of the elastic. Let's get it. Hey Missy, how's it going? Looks pretty good. I think what I would like is another stitch along this edge here, but I'm not going to poke the bear since we're doing the stretch woven, you know. All right, let's put my label on here, and so I'm just going to tuck it under here like this and stitch it down. It'll also give me an opportunity to kind of secure some of these threads because I cut a couple. Of course it got wonky. It's kind of scooched. Oh yeah, there it is. See, look at that. I gotta probably remove that. Oh, it's a little overexposed. Sorry, but see this? I felt it do something funny there. Let's take it out and do it again. We're trying to go for, you know, no scratchiness, right? So let's get rid of it. And then now all we have left is the hem. Since it's a stretch woven, I can do it on this machine. You could do it on the cover stitch if you want that look, but I'm going to do it on this machine. All right, let's get rid of all these threads. Threads are what make us look like amateurs. This time, you're going to behave. I'm going to start further onto the label. And now I'll just back stitch to the beginning of the label. And then that helped it behave a little bit. With that little, my labels are kind of thick because of all the threads in there. You see how, like, you can kind of see that it's pushing apart right there. And so if I start my back stitch, I could put the whole presser foot closer to the middle of the label here and then back up to the edge and then go. And then now it'll sit there like that. Yeah, I hope you're having a good day too. All right, we just need the hem. I'm going to start at the side seam, and I'm going to do a rolled hem. roll hem or overlock and top stitch. Nice, Margaret. I think it makes the sewing look so much better. It's not a very nice word. I probably should pick something else, Kathleen. Someone else has said something. I sometimes call it thread drama. But we all know what I mean when I say that, right? Hi, Nancy. How's it going? I think that when I see someone release a pattern and they're like, I've been working on this all year long and it's been taking me a month, 9 months and 87 samples to get here, and I present to you my beautiful new design, and I see threads coming off of it, I'm like, oh boy, you know? So it's just, so when they do this in quality control, it's why you can get a kind of a junky sewn garment, but there's no loose threads. They have a vacuum. It's like a little vacuum, and it's pulling the threads, so then you see it, because sometimes you can't even see a loose thread, right? And it's just because they're putting it over this little vacuum, and it pulls the thread, and then they cut it. So I think overlock and top stitch too. Yeah, I kind of think that too. I think roll hem is not the way to go on this for some reason. All right, let's go back to the serger then. Let me see how my width looks. It's so wide. All right. No. Oh my gosh. Why, you guys? Why at the end of every project do I have to do something like that? Sheesh. We're staying there. All right. All right, so let's turn this inside out so it can be right side up. This thread doesn't match very well, does it? The fact that I have a burnt orange thread at all though. Oh, I didn't top stitch this seam over here, you guys. Oh man. Well, it's not too late. We'll do that. It crossed my mind, then it flew right out of my mind. Okay. All right. It's not too thick. I was thinking because of the stretch aspect, you know, to do the overlock and top stitch. All right, so I'm just securing my thread tail there. And then let's top stitch that one side seam. Because somebody forgot, I'm not gonna say who. I mean, I had to remember my own label today. I had to remember this today. I don't know what you guys are all doing, but sheesh. You're not on summer vacation yet. I'm a little worried I'm gonna stitch through something. I'm near this pocket here. And I got my shorts under there. So at the top, it's going to be a little awkward. Oh, it feels like my seam allowance is twisted. Is that really the case? What? And now I discover my seam allowance is twisted. It wouldn't have been twisted had we top stitched this earlier. Sheesh. Well, that's okay. All right, now we're going to, I guess I could have ironed it first, but I'm not too worried about this part. Like this thread here, what is this guy doing? Oh, that was the start. All right, never mind. All right, I'm gonna turn it up about 3/4, a little less than 3/4 of an inch. Let's see if my bobbin thread, yeah, it looks okay. This orange though, it's okay. Like when I look at the thread, it looks like it matches. When I look at it against the fabric, it doesn't really match. I could just leave the shorts unhemmed, but I did hem one leg almost, so I'll probably have to fix that. Where's the, oh, it's like way down there. All right, just needs a good press, and it's done. I'd put it on my dress form, but I don't have my pant form done yet, and I can't. But that looks pretty cute. It's ready for gardening. Got my little utility pocket there. Very cute. Should I try it on really quick? I'm always scared to do that. I'll try it on really quick. I did bring pull-on pants today for this reason. But they're still hard to get off. It's kind of funny putting on the exact same fabric. Oh, I can get these on no problem. Ooh, this feels so good. Oh, it's a little short though. I mean, it's not too short. It's just a little shorter than I was picturing. All right. My utility skort with my clogs. It's a little short. I feel like this could be a lot longer, huh? For working in the yard. But it's pretty comfortable. Let me see. Let me make sure my underwear aren't showing. Yeah. Do-do-do. Nice. Yeah, right? Yay, 2-hour project. Who wears short shorts? Oh, wow, Terry, good job. Did you make your camp shirts for your sons? Yeah, right, Libby? wait. Oh, do I compromise on thread color usually? Often, very often. And exactly what Michelle said, I use gray a lot. Yeah. Yeah, this is cute. This is very comfortable. I mean, I could wear it around, right? It doesn't look... My dress form's on the ground here. This is so my skort length that I would have worn for years. I can't tell if it's winging out back here. And then my shorts. Used to be a cyclist, so at least my legs are still a little bit fit, huh? Well, thinking like if I were around town maybe, but in my yard I might want a little longer, you know, so. Yeah, cool. Well, that was very fast. It was nice to have a nice quick project. And like I said yesterday when I made the knit version, it was a 2-hour project, except for I didn't hem them. That was it. But it would have been if I had the pattern already taped together, but I taped the pattern together, cut it out, and sewed it all in 2 hours with the knit. And the knit's very easy and fast, so. And I sewed it exactly the same way at the waist on the knit. So the waistband, I think 2 inches for me would be a little too wide, but I can see the appeal of that for some folks, so. Cool, well thanks guys. Now next week I'm doing the partner overalls. Let's, well there's my waistband. Let's see. Do you guys know the partner overalls? This is them right here in the bottom right. I'll zoom this in a little bit. So they have a draw cord waist here. I'm trying to make it big. The pattern's by Ready to Sew. Comes in lots of sizes. You're sewing them tonight? Oh, the camp shirts? Nice. So that's what I'm making next week. I bought the expansion pack, but I'm not really sure. Hey Benji, how's it going? Welcome. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna use the expansion pack because I think I thought it was other things in there, and I feel like the what it comes with is enough. So anyway. A little bright. Sorry about that. Well, thanks for coming, you guys. If you're in the guild and you're in the pant fitting thing, tomorrow is one of the Zooms. And I don't have anything this Saturday here. So next week, Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, I will be I'm going to be cutting the partner overalls by Ready to Sew. If you want to join me. I'm doing a lightweight denim. I still got to make sure that is enough. Oh, I did make sure it was enough. Wait. Ooh, I got it. I think I have to figure that out. I got to figure that out. And then the following week, I'm doing the James shirt by also Ready to Sew, and I'm going to do it out of a UPF fabric, which is like a sunblock fabric. So, yeah. So thanks for coming, you guys. And I'm gonna jet out today because I've been working hard on a few things and I need to keep going on them. So thanks for coming. I appreciate it. And have a great weekend. I will see you next Wednesday. I can't believe that's almost a week away. That's nuts. All right. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to have the gardening overalls. And then that'll be 4 of my 5 capsule wardrobe for the garden pieces. Plus I have the Blanca flight suit I made last year, so, or a year and a half ago. I don't know. Anyway. All right, guys. Have a good one.